The 7 components of male psychology during no contact rule. Breakups can be messy. The no contact rule post-breakup period is where you cut off all contact with your ex. Why? Well, some of us do it in the hopes of trying to move on or even to get back to our exes as a changed person. The movies make it seem easy because one person leaves the country or the frame. But the no contact rule definitely helps if you're both in the same city and in the same group of friends, and if you're trying to move on from a nasty breakup or the damaging on again, off again dynamic. If you're in a no contact period at the moment, there's hope for you. Research says that the no contact rule is a success almost 90% of the time. While it works differently with every individual, the no contact rule does tend to have components that you can look into if you're trying to figure out just what he's going through. With the help of Mumbai-based psychotherapist Dr. Aman Bhosle, who specializes in relationship counseling and rational emotive behavior therapy, we take a deep dive into the psychology of men's behavior to no contact. Much like the 5 stages of grief, there are multiple stages of no contact for a man. The humiliation of being cut out. For men, the no contact rule often hits their pride first. He may just put on a hard exterior, become manic, or may appear calmer than ever, as though he's on board with your decision. No matter what, remember he's hit badly. Dr. Bhosle says that a man typically feels like he's been cast aside, like a bad habit, as if there's something about him that's repulsive. Hence, the humiliation of being cut off can hit a man's psyche hard. The bargaining stage. In this stage, he may say whatever you want to hear at the moment. Some men may not be able to deal with the sudden termination of contact and may resort to desperate tactics in an attempt to get what they now realize they long for. This could even mean trying to get back into his ex's life, says Dr. Bhosle. He may try to beg his way back into his ex by saying things like, "I'll be a changed man," or "I'll do better." Ever have that feeling that you've been having this same pattern of arguments, and every time you break up, your significant other says, "I promise I won't do this again"? That is a red flag. Anger and establishing stereotypes. After a rough breakup due to no contact rule, most men's psychology in a relationship changes. They start saying things like, "No man can be trusted." This is also the time when he's most likely to begin trash talking about women, or rather, trash talking about one particular woman. From being the center of his life, you may suddenly go to being this witch who has ruined his life. The degree of anger depends on each individual, but the feeling of anger is something almost every man will experience. Dr. Bhosle says that termination of contact leads to anger and resentment. In the long run, anger can lead to building stereotypes, which will lead to future biases. It leads to a vicious cycle of humiliation and rejection. It's common psychology, right? These future biases can show up in the strangest of ways. Supposing the man has been dating someone who's been forthright or dominant in her personality, he's likely to go for the exact opposite side of the spectrum, pick a girl who's sweet, submissive, and not likely to put up with his bullshit. A feeling that he has to prove his love. Unfortunately, our media is filled with examples of men like Kabir Singh or Kanye West who are resorting to silly or even dangerous tactics to win their women again. Dr. Bhosle says a lot of movies show men putting themselves through turmoil because of a woman. So a lot of men may start believing that going through turmoil is part of the process of being a man, as if it's a way to prove how authentic their love is. Remember, true love does not require you to crucify yourself or physically harm yourself. The fear of loneliness and losing love. Once the bargaining doesn't work and the realization sets in that the no contact rule isn't a gimmick or a power tactic, a sudden panic along the lines of "I'm going to die alone" may take hold. Once the fear kicks in, it can lead to some pretty bad decision making in terms of self-respect. A scarcity mindset, Dr. Bhosle says, will kick in and men start acting in desperation. Experiencing depression. Understandably, men respond to no contact by going through a mourning period as well. Unlike women who are able to express what they want with our girlfriends, or have a big night together where you just cry it out and vent it out, men mourn differently. As one of the 5 stages of grief, this is to be expected from someone when they've been hurt very unexpectedly. So if you're wondering how a no contact rule affects a man, know that there definitely comes a stage when he's wallowing in self-pity. when he's likely to say that it was all began because he was wrong. Moving on and turning the tables. If you were sure about ending the relationship, this is good news. In his stubbornness due to male validation psychology, a man might just end up using the no contact rule himself. Perhaps he has moved on and does not wish to communicate with you further, or he has come to the conclusion that you are not a good fit for him. The no contact rule male psychology can be a complex assembly of emotions that even the man will have a hard time understanding. Why is it important that you understand it? Well, so that you can navigate it better. The lack of closure is what really gets to most, since it's troubling to not know why the contact has suddenly been discontinued. Remember, breakups can be messy, but sometimes they are very important for your sense of self. Put a distance between you and your partner and try and figure out what it is that didn't work for you and what it is that you're exactly looking for. These tips will help you understand his behavior towards the no contact rule better.